All right, let's get Facebook in here. We can start the show. Get rolling. Dylan, I'm going to need you to just constantly blink and move your head around so I know it's not me that is frozen in this one. There we go. Just have a little conniption back there. Welcome in, folks. It is Monday morning, the 12th, and the Broncos divisional matchup is set. We know what day they are playing. We have a spread for the upcoming game as well, but we don't know what's going to happen in the game, Eric, and we don't know who all is going to be playing. Also, I want to talk a little bit of injury, see if you've heard anything. But it is Monday morning. I'm Nick Kendall, joined by Eric Trickle. This is Broncos for Breakfast, your probably number one show at this time slot. We're also probably in last place in this time slot too. But it's always, it's good to be here. As always, I am still the solo dad this week, so potentially have to hop out early if the kid is up and upset. I got the monitor right here. So, and the pets are in. They were on their best behavior this weekend. Eric, how about you? Were you on your best behavior?
No.
Okay. Me neither.
I wasn't. No.
I was good dad, but ate like crap.
It wasn't a great weekend here in my household. Just to lack sleep. We have an 8-year-old who has decided that she's going to stay up until 11 o'clock p.m. midnight every single night, basically, and not want to sleep. And it's leading to some frustrations, especially when it comes to doing her schoolwork the next day. And she had a math test on Saturday because we do schoolwork Tuesday through Saturday. And it just didn't go so well. She did well on the math test, but getting her to do it was a problem. But
okay.
But no, it's everything's good here. And you talked about the game. We also still waiting to see what time the game is. We know it's on Saturday. Just don't know that time slot yet. That'll be determined sometime after tonight's game. Although I'm sure the NFL has an idea of when they want it. But so I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it's the Bills. As scary as Josh Allen is, I'm not afraid of that defense whatsoever. But only watched about 10 minutes of football outside of the game last night, and it was all the final 2 minutes of some of those games. So some really good football this weekend from what I gathered, at least.
Yeah, the only games that were not super duper competitive was the Indiana-Miami college football playoff game. It does not make sense what Indiana's done. It feels like a kid is taking controller and is playing on their Xbox somewhere and just playing on freshman mode and just rolling through them. But we will see what happens. And we got Ethan saying that if you look on YouTube, the Broncos game says 8 p.m. Eastern time. So the later slot, we will see. The issue with this is that a lot of times time zones can determine these things, and the Broncos actually play in the earlier time zone than who's going to be playing the other game, because it'll be the Seahawks versus the 49ers, I believe, in that other matchup, Eric. So, yeah, we'll see when the Broncos play, but we do know it is going to be Saturday. And yeah, what a good weekend of football overall. Man, the Justin Herbert playoff non-performer is going to really manage to be a conversation in the offseason with that team as well. And yeah, Denver's got a chance, like we said last week, or like I said last week, Eric, a real chance to narratively build a good offseason. If you can beat the Bills, or not offseason, postseason. If you can beat the Bills, that's kind of monkey off your back. The one negative, I guess, would be for that narrative is that you can't rectify the loss versus the Jags. But is what it is. And yeah, it's going to be a hell of a matchup. I'm really excited for this game and an opponent we haven't played yet this season.
Yeah, I mean, they can't rectify that loss against Jaguars, but they can get that revenge for the playoff game last year. Yeah. And, the Broncos are going to be looking back. They're going to carry that into them or into this game and want their revenge for it. And it's basically a flipped game from last year. Even though the Bills were the 2nd seed, Denver was the 7th seed last year, and it's now Bills coming into town. But that was a good game. Watching the Bills and the Jaguars game, that was one of the ones where I only watched like a few minutes of the first quarter, where I realized how awful Tony Romo is at being an announcer. Then I watched the final few minutes of it, where it still was clear Tony Romo is awful as an announcer. But it was I put the condensed game on a little bit later after the game last night while I was still getting some work done. And it was a good game, and the Bills definitely have some threats offensively. Josh Allen, of course, and then the receivers they have. But it was a good game. But again, a lot of good football this weekend. The Rams-Panthers game was a good one, even though that obviously didn't have anything to do with the Broncos. And I watched the full game of the Patriots and the Chargers game, and gotta give credit where it's due. Both defenses, I think, did really well all game long. Chargers offense couldn't get nothing done. But did you catch Robert Spillane after the game talk about the Chargers offense?
No, what did he say?
He made a comment about how they had no idea. The Chargers offensive players were coming up to him and saying they had no idea what coverages they were running. And then not a good indictment of Harbaugh or Greg Roman in their preparation for the Patriots. And after the game, Harbaugh was asked if Greg Roman is safe, and he's like, I don't know. So Greg Roman shouldn't be safe in that position. He should be fired, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Could be a offensive and defensive coordinator change out there for the Los Angeles Chargers next season. No changes in here, though. Different day, different comments, but a lot of the same people, including our guy, David Youngkin. Appreciate you, David. He says, so we play the Bills, who the media says has the best player left in the playoffs. They have the most valuable player left in the playoffs, probably. Yeah, if you weight the quarterbacks, there's probably individual player. Like if you're going by Madden ratings, right? Like you can have a quarterback who's worth a 96 and let's just go safety, that's a 99. The quarterback who's a 96 is more valuable, even if the safety is rated higher. That might be a fun little exercise to see who's left, like as far as the true best rated player left in the playoffs. But so one playoff road win is not impressed since he's been in the league for forever, it feels like. How many playoff road games has he actually had a chance to be in? I feel like the Bills have
4.
He's had 4 playoff. Okay, yeah, I guess I was going to say they've had a lot of. They've won the division a lot, but okay, how many of those were not against Patrick Mahomes?
Well, sorry, counting the Jaguars game, it was 5, but 4 prior to this, and only one of them was not going into Kansas City.
Okay, well, there you have it. I mean, it is a small sample size. I guess you cannot be impressed by him. I'm gonna take the opposite approach and lay praise on Josh Allen and the Bills, because I understand this is a monumental matchup and task ahead for this Broncos defense, and probably the best quarterback they've played this season on the whole, as far as how they're playing the year as well. So tough matchup for the Broncos. Also, unfortunately, probably the best rush offense the Broncos have played since week 2 when Jonathan Taylor went all over them. Granted, very different team than week 2. Like the circumstances are so different, but this is going to be a tough matchup for the Broncos on the whole. But thanks, David. Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen is it's going to be a tough one for him, but we'll see how it plays out. Stephen Bumgarner says, good morning, everyone. This is a matchup I was wanting to see, and I'm really excited for it as well. I really didn't want to play the Chargers again. I don't know. I just didn't. Annoyed by the 3 fans on Twitter or whatever it is, and I have respect for Josh Allen. Not that I don't have it for the Chargers to some extent as well, but I did want to play the Bills more so than the Texans. And as fun as it have been played to play Pittsburgh, I don't know, kind of boring a little bit too at the same time. So Bills is a good matchup for us. Done. Good to see you. Happy good morning to you. Also says Chargers don't love that QB showed don't love their QB showed last night. Oh yeah, because they're getting them killed. I mean, I'm really kind of tired of I'm a Justin Herbert believer, as far as he's a talented, obviously top 7 quarterback in the NFL, but he shrinks in the big moments. And also, it's not like they haven't tried to add weapons and pieces around him. It's just, they built their training ground on a Indian burial site, so they just have crazy injury luck. But yeah, crazy game last night. Justin Herbert just got pulverized.
Yeah, I mean, they've tried to build that offensive line up around him, and you get Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt get hurt. They brought in Bradley Bozeman, who he's been dealing with a concussion. They've tried, and it's something that they just got to keep doing and maybe work on that depth now, and keep adding more weapons. But I think the biggest change you got to make has got to be offense coordinator. I was getting it earlier. In 22 offensive possessions with Harbaugh and Roman leading the way for Herbert, they've scored 1 touchdown
in the playoffs. Right?
In the playoffs, yeah. And so it's obviously it's not good enough, and part of that is on Herbert. But I mean, when you turn on that game last night, he tried his hardest to carry that team to a win at, cost of life and limb, basically. I mean, he took some nasty hits out there, and he was still out there fighting for yards as a runner and, trying to make plays happen. And, it's not a good time when your offensive line can't even handle stunts. I mean, all game long, the Patriots kept throwing stunts at him. And it's not like they were greatly designed stunts to be hidden or anything like that. A lot of them were pretty basic stunts, and they still just had no answer for it and just constantly allowed Herbert to get hit. And it was rough to watch. I think Herbert is a really good quarterback, and he's not gonna shake that lack of clutch gene narrative that he has until he gets over the hump. And part of that problem is, again, what's going on around him with that offense when the injuries that they just can't shake, because, as you said, they just happen to build their practice field on an ancient Indian burial ground.
Something. I don't know. Also, the fact that obviously Herbert's played every single playoff game on the road, also because the Chiefs had won 10 in a row. So it's much harder to win a playoff game of a playoff caliber opponent on the road, unless you have a AFC North situation or NFC South, which is still a competitive game. We got David Quintana coming in here saying our run defense will need to watch. Yeah, we'll get into that here soon. Obviously, the run defense from the Broncos last season was embarrassed, I guess, against the Bills, and with Josh Allen's ability to run as well, and some players maybe cheating a little bit in their assignments, Eric, this is going to be a week to really push the fundamentals and your rush gap run lane integrity while pressuring the Bills and playing run defense through it.
Yeah, this is one where Jonathan Cooper is definitely on watch. I mean, not just with his production. He had half a sack since the mini bye week, and he only has less than 15 total pressures since then. He's just not getting home. He's not holding up as a run defender. And one of the biggest issues that he have, I mean, you can go on and turn on the Washington Commanders game, the Jaguars game, even the second Raiders game. And one thing is constant when you watch Jonathan Cooper, he's not maintaining pass rush lane discipline. And it's allowing these quarterbacks to get out there and make plays with their feet and either running the ball or extending plays. And Josh Allen is the worst one to do that against. On top of that, you have Nik Bonitto on the other side, who the production's been there, but he's had some moments where he's hitting the quarterback and struggling to bring him down. You can't do that against Josh Allen. When you hit him, you got to make sure you bring him to the ground, because once that play gets broken, he becomes an even bigger threat. So big key for these guys up front to maintain that discipline and make sure that when they get home, that they are bringing Allen down and not allowing him to keep plays alive, because he can be a tough quarterback to sack.
And it's not only, I mean, Allen is obviously the main one, Eric, but if you remember last year in the playoff game, it was constant leak yardage from this defense. Cody Barton was a main issue in that ability, but you'd have, Cook, you tackle him at, for a gain of 3 yards, and then the offensive line would get behind him, and you'd see him push forward for another 6. And instead of it being 2nd and 7, it's 2nd and 1. And that happened 12 times in that game, which, I mean, that really does matter. So we'll see how that plays out in this one. But yeah, Denver's going to have to stop the run and limit the explosives. Luckily for the Bills, they don't really have dominant wide receivers out there, but that's also maybe been a negative somewhat to the Broncos, because Denver has such an advantage with Patrick Surtain being able to line him up against a number 1, but you're not really taking away that big of a piece for the Bills offense when you do that. So I don't know. We'll see how the Broncos decide to support their run defense, and hopefully they can eat. And everybody loves eating at home, right, Eric?
Yeah. Speaking of eating, have you guys heard of Goldbelly? Well, it's an amazing site that I order from all the time, where you can get the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants all across the U.S. And it's perfect for game day, Valentine's Day, or anything else you have going on. Guys, this is seriously amazing. Goldbelly will ship you iconic Chicago deep dish pizza from Lou Malnati's, the original buffalo wings from Anchor Bar in Buffalo, Guy Fieri's unbelievable trash can nachos, and real Philly cheesesteaks, or even the legendary Franklin barbecue straight from Texas right to your door. And with Valentine's Day coming up, they also have great gifts like award-winning dinners from Peter Luger Steakhouse, world-famous macaroons from La Durée, and even the exact cake served at JFK's wedding to Jackie O.
Yeah, maybe we don't want any buffalo wings from Buffalo this week, but you can get anything else, including the cheesesteak. What catches my eye, I love a good cheesesteak. Always delicious. It's high-quality grub delivered right to your door, and it always lives up to the lofty expectations one has. And just thinking about that legend of the Philly cheesesteak, it's like having a culinary piece of Philadelphia shipped straight to you hassle-free. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get quality-wise with online food ordering sites, but Goldbelly absolutely delivers every time. It tastes amazing. So whether you're looking to turn game day into an unforgettable experience with friends or to impress a loved one or family members, go to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code MileHigh. That's goldbelly.com, code MileHigh for 20% off your first order. Let's say hello more to the chat here coming in here. Dunn said Allen got banged up pretty good. They'll have a week to get ready, and he's a horse. So, we'll see how that plays out. Jordan Lewis, happy Monday, fellas. Excited for the game Saturday. Hearing we're likely getting the night game. We'll see when it's announced. I don't know when it becomes official, but it doesn't really matter to me, I guess. Whatever one works. There'll be only 2 games on Saturday and all island games. So whether it be Saturday is always a little later too. So it could be what would it be here? 6 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff, or potentially the 2 p.m. kickoff. Either one sounds fine to me. I think those are the times. Maybe it's a little hour earlier with the weirdness of how few games there are. But good to get to this point, and excited to see what happens here. David Quintana saying NFL favors certain players, teams shamelessly kissing their butts. Well, no Chiefs butts to kiss, so that's good. We got Christy coming in. It's been a bit. Christy, hope you're doing well. Says this is going to be a tough game. I have my Tums ready for a stressful game as well. Yeah, no ulcers allowed. No ulcers. Mark Kennedy, good morning. Go Broncos. You got Justin Barlow in the house. Says, good morning, Broncos country. Love y'all. Josh Allen is tied for the 4th most quarterback comebacks this year, but they don't tell you with who. Fun fact, it's Bo. Yeah, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, a lot of comebacks this season. And Josh Allen has been unbelievable. Second half of the year, at least as well. He's one of the best quarterbacks in football. Now he is prone to make some WTF decisions now and then. I don't know if you watched got it up in the Eagles-Bills game where he had a few turnovers. Denver needs to create those and take advantage of those when they are there. That's what playoff football comes down to a lot. But Josh Allen is a really, really good quarterback. I don't think Denver is going to be taken back by his aura or anything like that too. They have confidence in themselves.
Yeah, and I think that Denver, again, with the beating that Denver took last year in the playoffs from the Buffalo Bills, I think they're going to come into this one a lot more focused. I think that's one thing that all year long that we've talked about, Sean Payton has kept them really focused on the current game at hand and not looking ahead. And they know that it's one game at a time. So I don't think they're going to get caught up in, the revenge narrative, even though that's definitely there, or overlook them or look ahead to whoever they may face, which is one reason why I actually like the fact that the game is on Saturday and not Sunday. That it's either 2:30 or Mountain or 6 p.m. Mountain, whichever time. The other game is still the Seahawks 49ers game, so there's no AFC. They don't know who their opponent is, and I can't remember who it was, but there was a team a couple years ago, and they lost in the divisional round, and one of the players made a comment is like, well, some of our guys in the locker room, after we saw the game yesterday, because it was a Sunday game, they made a comment about how they were looking ahead. They started looking and talking about wanting to face that other team because they lost to them in the regular season, which is always a risk. So I'm glad Denver has that Saturday game for this one and can keep focused on it and keep their eye on the prize. But it is a tough one. They got to do a lot to slow down not just Josh Allen but the running game in general. The Bills have a really good run blocking offensive line. So work's cut out for them. And I've seen a lot of people talk about how this is the matchup that they wanted Denver in. it's not necessarily the one I wanted, but of what we had, this was the one that I wanted. The only one I probably would have actually wanted more would have been the Steelers, not because it would have been a good game, but just because I think the Steelers would be an easy win.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one. I'm really excited, and do not bother me on Saturday. I'm really glad my wife was gone this weekend and not next weekend, because I'm going to be a ball of nerves, and I don't want to have to be replicating, lone parent behavior in the house when that's happening. Ideally, I'm away from the house just because I don't want to be bothered too much. I need to be immersed in the game. If anybody's got tickets, but good to see you, Justin. Appreciate you. WNC, going to be a lot of playoff teams signing and drafting defense. Playoffs will always expose average defense. It'll expose whatever you're weakest at, right? I mean, just like it's good teams. So like we saw the Chargers offensive pass design and offensive line pass protection plan and talent on the offensive line, depth get exposed. Other games, they were so close, could go many different ways. But there's always something you can pick at. But offensive line, weapons, quarterback play, playoffs will expose what you're weakest at. But it doesn't necessarily have to be defense. Justin Barlow again, Herbert and Allen both took a whooping. Yeah, they did. Yes, they did. And just getting into a whooping. Oh, we got Big E also. Good morning, Broncos country. Hope everyone had a good morning. Bring on the Bills. Swink McLeod in the house. Good to see you. Mahomes is coming in saying, good morning, chaps. It's Mahomes something else. So phobic. Says, morning, chaps. Do fail. Yeah, I'm really kind of happy. I mean, Eric, maybe I'm petty, but the Jags running with the small market team and like merch and everything, shut the hell up. Who cares? They were not even giving you like a negative comment, and you like peed in the corner about it. Like, goodbye. Enjoy the off season. I'm sorry that hurt your feelings. Enjoy the views from the couch. Like, annoyed. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it was a compliment. Sean Payton was talking about how well they've done with them being a small market team to be as competitive as they are, and the fact that they took that as an insult. And not only that, they like just cherry picked that small market statement, and none of the players, none of the fans even knew the rest of the comment, because they just focused on the small market team. It's like they heard that and then completely zoned out. So I'm kind of glad they lost, and I don't know what his handle is that we see, but in the Mile High Huddle Discord, there's a guy, Johnny Waffles is his name. He came out with the thing of Liam Cohen from his presser when he said Duval, but it was Cancun. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was hilarious. But not just the Jaguars losing, but the Chargers as well, with Tony Jefferson after the season finale game. You got what you deserved. You completely overlooked the Patriots, and they came in and they beat your butts. So both teams that I really wanted to see lost. Sentinel Supreme said, I said the Cancun thing. Are you Johnny Waffles in the Mile High Huddle Discord? I'm pretty sure it was the. Anyways, if it was you, I apologize for crediting the wrong person. But somebody in the Mile High Huddle Discord came out with it, which absolutely cracked me up. But yeah, both teams who made a big deal over nothing, or the whole Broncos stink comment that Tony Jefferson made after you lost. Well, congratulations, you're now on vacation, and Denver is, as of right now, is still in it.
Yeah. Good to have that number one seed. I know there was some people, talking about, getting a little bit rusty over that break and everything, but Denver played 2 games where I think Sean Payton and this crew ratcheted up the intensity. The games mattered for Denver to win. And I don't think if Denver loses this week and they look bad, it's more likely because they played a good opponent and didn't rise to the occasion than having a bye week and not having to play. That's my opinion on it. Maybe the players would feel a little different, but I think it's a huge advantage to have that number one seed with the reseeding going on and everything like that, and just not having to subject yourself to a beatdown like that as well. So we'll see. The James Todd coming in says, worry about this game is only because I know Singleton is going to be isolated more than once. Needs to try out a Greenlaw out there the majority of the game. It does sound like Greenlaw is going to be okay to go, Eric, from what I've heard. We will not have Brandon Jones back. I don't think we'll see Brandon Jones again this season. J.K. Dobbins will not be back this week. They did open up Drew Sanders' 21-day practice window. As far as news goes, I don't expect him to get activated, but that's a thing. And as far as other injuries go, PJ Locke, did he return in that last game or not? I feel like I've heard he's doesn't sound like he's going to be playing. It sounds like it's going to be key.
He was back to practicing.
He was back to practice? Okay.
Yep.
From what I heard on last Thursday, I was like, oh, we're not sure about Locke, so that's good to hear. And then Wattenberg can be activated for the AFC Championship game because of a rule change that occurred this offseason.
This last offseason, yeah.
So, any injuries do you want to update on? I guess Locke is the one that we're keeping an eye on, although I thought Key played pretty well overall, and this is, I guess, a good chance for Locke in a revenge game for him because he was dreadful last year against the Bills.
Yeah, when they returned to practice this week, because they didn't return to practice until Thursday, everybody was back out there practicing. Some were a little bit more limited. I think Locke was one of those ones that was a little bit more limited in it. The only one who wasn't back at practice was John Frankenmeyers, who was away from practice because his wife was having a baby. So that was the only one. So all good news on the injury front. It sounded like, I can't remember who it was, if it was Parker Gabriel or Luka Evans or somebody else. Somebody came out and made a comment on Drew Sanders that it sounds like this is just to have the window open in case Greenlaw, gets hurt again or something else happens at linebacker. Just have that window open, and just because the 21-day window means that they can activate him right before the Super Bowl. So it's just kind of there just in case. Another one that we are expected to have the practice window opened is Lucas Kroll. I think that is Wednesday. That was said is that they're going to do that. So getting some guys off of injured reserve. But I'm with you. I don't think we see Brendan Jones again this season. J.K. Dobbins fully depends on where Denver gets it. Sean Payton's comments did make it sound a little bit more promising that if they can get past the divisional round, maybe he is back for that championship game. But I still think the Super Bowl is far more likely if they get that far. But yeah, it's all good news on the injury front. Garrett Bowles, from what I understand, the swelling on his ankle has gone down tremendously. Alex Forsyth, he's been moving fine. And Luke Wattenberg, maybe the divisional round, we're getting him back, or not the championship game, we're getting him back. So everybody's good to go pretty much. So still some guys to wait and see on that. We're limited, but all positive news on the injury front.
Yeah, this is that's good to hear overall. And a big thing for this Broncos team for me is getting the offensive line and running backs healthy, because that is the scab that you can pick at for this Buffalo Bills defense. Now, I know they added some serious beef this offseason, and, Deion Walker was added to that unit, and they have, some players on defense, but overall, this has been a unit that you can run on pretty consistently. Now, I think McDermott has done a pretty good job putting the defensive players in good positions, more so in the pass game than in the run game as of late. And I feel like that Bills team has been taking the ball away at a better rate as well. But on paper, this is the worst run defense that's left in the playoffs, I think, by a good margin. And hopefully this is a game that the Broncos can control the line of scrimmage, not put Bo in many obvious drop back pass situations, and kind of give the Bills a little taste of their own medicine from last year. Can the Broncos do that with the running backs they have? We'll see. But a good run offense would be able to really control this game and take it to the Bills on defense. So we'll find out. This is going to be a big barometer for this Broncos team this offseason, because with how bad the Bills have been on the ground, you have to be able to take advantage of it and keep Allen off the field.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the run defense, at one point in the Jaguars game, the two running backs for the Jaguars had 8 combined rushes for almost 100 yards, and they just didn't stick with the running game. And so Denver, that's something that they got to figure out, get that running game going with consistency. And this is a good defense I don't think that it's going to happen to where it's week in, week out, just because at this point it's tough to completely flip the script with something that's been as rough around the edges as the Broncos rushing game has been. But in terms of in this game against the Bills, they should be able to find some consistency running the ball, and they need it to help take that pressure off, because the Bills, their passing defense, while it's not great, it's still fine. And they do have some guys up front that can get after the quarterback, and you just got to help take that pressure off of Bo Nix. And especially with a offensive line that has kind of struggled a little bit more in recent weeks in pass protection than they had most of the season. And so you just got to be able to take that off. And a consistent run game is the one way to do it. Probably should see a little bit more Jaleel McLaughlin, RJ Harvey. We really need to get him finding some kind of consistency on the ground. The touchdowns are great, but there's been no consistency as a runner from him whatsoever. And Tyler Bidet, whatever he can chip in, they gotta get something going. Starts with the offensive line. There's definitely some weaknesses with the Bills up front when it comes to the run defense. Some guys who don't necessarily lack the discipline as run defenders that you need to hold up against the run. A lot of guys who, in the system that they have, they don't exactly execute it the way that they're supposed to. And so definitely the potential is there for the Broncos to really run out this game and control the clock that way. It's just, can the Broncos go out there and execute it offensively, which has been the biggest question with the running game.
Yeah, and since week 10 of the regular season, the Bills have the third worst EPA per rush against the run in the entire NFL. So they do have a weakness. The question is, do the Broncos have the run game infrastructure and design in place to take advantage of that? One thing also, this Bills team doesn't really scare me as far as their violence and team speed necessarily in the back seven. Now, I'm not saying, Bo Nix, go out there and put your body on the line. It is the playoffs, but I think this is a good game where you can actually that Bo Nix plays smart and really take advantage of that Bills linebacker core, which they're smaller and they're a little speedier. I'm not as worried about him taking violent hits. And let's let the Broncos be the leak yardage team to some extent. I don't necessarily want that to be Bo Nix and putting your quarterback subject to those hits, but overall, that's the big thing in this one. The weakest part of either team is that Bills run defense. So hopefully the Broncos can take advantage of that. And to that front, Eric, I got to ask, who's going to get more carries on offense? Is it going to be Jaleel or is it going to be RJ Harvey? RJ Harvey's going to get more touches. I would assume he's going to get more snaps, but who gets more carries when the box score, the dust settles?
I think it's going to be RJ Harvey, simply because when he's in there, you have a little bit more versatility with him because of what he's been able to do as a receiver than over Jaleel McLaughlin. And so I do think it's him, but I do think that Jaleel McLaughlin is going to come away with more yards. I just don't think it's going to come with more carries.
Yep. We'll see. McLaughlin has looked, now granted, again, small sample size, but McLaughlin has looked way better as a runner every time he's out there. He's not a good pass protector. RJ Harvey isn't either, but I feel like he's improved there. I'm not as concerned about him. There's been a few good blocks from RJ Harvey getting in the way, getting at guys' ankles, and he's also much better out of the backfield as a pass catcher. Gabe comes in and says, "Are we underdogs in this game? I like it better when we're supposed to lose." Yeah, right now I checked this morning, the spread is the Bills by 1.5. Now we'll see where the sharps versus the public are coming in on that and how that line moves. I would have figured it should have been a 0.5 pick'em game on this one. So the 1.5 surprises me a little bit. But I mean, the Bills were 1.5 point favorites against the Jags as well. So, I mean, Vegas kind of knows what's up. This is a coin flip game. But hopefully the Broncos can lean into that a little bit as well and come out mad as dogs, just about being disrespected. That one actually I feel like matters a little bit more than the misconstrued small market team. Vegas has been doubting you all season, and they're doing it again.
Yeah, not just Vegas, but almost every single analyst, every single talking head out there in the NFL. It's always been the same thing. It's been, the teams they're facing, they're not good teams. They're not beating good teams. They're barely winning these games. They're not facing the quarterbacks because of how many starting quarterbacks were out for the games or went out early in the game. It's always been something to detract away from what the Broncos have done this season. And even, despite all that, the fact that they won as many games as they did in a row, the fact that they won as many games as they did overall, that's impressive. It's the same thing with, even though, we kind of touched on it with the Patriots and, the record of the teams that they beat, you can only play who's in front of you. And it still is, wins aren't easy in the NFL, and getting to 14 wins is impressive. And Denver should have a little bit more respect towards them than we get. I mean, I tweeted out a thing last night talking about the how this is a revenge game for the Broncos, not even saying if Denver would win or not. And I got a couple DMs from people who are supposedly Broncos fans that are like, well, Denver's going to lose this one. They have no chance at it. It's like, how can you think that they will? It's like, I'm not saying Denver's going to win or lose. It's just that kind of disrespect for them has been so constant. And they've really, from what I understand, have played into that they are taking that personally. And that's, they're using that as motivation, and rightfully so. As you said, that is a little bit more reason to take motivation. And when you're constantly being doubted, than being complimented about doing as well as you are and being a small market team.
Yeah. It should be a great one. We got a Bills fan coming in saying go Bills. I don't mind these kind of comments. They don't come in, they're not disrespectful. Good luck to you. Hopefully no injuries. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in this game. I'm really excited for it. We got Todd Ostendorf coming in saying hello, Bronco fans. Great to see you. And we got Keith saying Broncos country. I really think we're Super Bowl bound. One at a time, but it is. They got the home games laid out in front of them and can take advantage of it. So we'll see. We'll also see how tonight's Texans game goes on. I'm hoping for a Texans Patriots, brawl out there in New England, the two physical teams. But Denver just got to take care of business. It'll be what it is. Got Todd Ostendorf in the house saying, glad I get to catch the breakfast show. It's rare for me. Great to see you. And Nails comes in and says, watch Dobbins coming back and tear it up with the run defense. I don't think Dobbins is expected back in this week. I think we'd have heard some chatter about that. I think they're really hoping the AFC Championship game could happen, but it'll probably still be the Super Bowl, assuming they get that far. But we'll see. We'll know a lot more on Wednesday this week when we get an injury report. But happy for the Broncos to get a week to prepare and nurse a little bit, get back to health and, just not have to play a randomness or play a game where random results can happen.
Yeah. But as you said, not expecting Dobbins back this week. I think this would be a great week to get him back if he is good to go. But I think if we were looking at this week, he probably would have had his practice window opened last week or even the week before, giving him some time to amp up the practicing that he's able to do. Because when you're on injury reserve, there are limits at what you can do. So no practice window open. So just makes this week doubtful that he's going to be back in time with it, especially with it being a Saturday game. I'd expect we probably get some more news about it probably, tomorrow or Wednesday. Like I said, Wednesday's the expectation for when they open the practice window for Lucas Kroll. And that could be a time when they decide to do it for J.K. Dobbins with eyes with the championship game. So how I kind of view it is when they open up that practice window, it's probably the week after, not that week of. Though Denver has a few times done it this season where it's been that the week they have opened it. Malcolm Roach earlier in the season is one of those guys. But yeah, I'm not expecting J.K. Dobbins back this week. Not Luke Watt, no Luke Wattenberg. The guys on injury reserve, basically, I still expect them to be on injury reserve at this point next week.
Yeah. Sorry, my wife was texting me, and the kid's still asleep, so we can still keep going here. I saw him stir. Oh, well, yeah. Probably wrapping it up here pretty soon. Jay asked, why did the Broncos open the window on Drew Sanders? Just in case injuries occur. And it's 21 days, so you pretty much have the duration of the at least the next two rounds to make that decision, and you'll have an idea heading into the Super Bowl what you're at health-wise. So it makes sense to do. From that perspective, we got Ozzy Talk says, do you guys think the Broncos defense is better equipped to handle the Bills run game this year? Zero additions were made up front from last season, where this D-line looked very light versus Buffalo. Not necessarily true. You added Hufanga. Well, he's still up front, but Hufanga is such a plus in the run game. Now, granted, sometimes he's going off of vibes and instincts, and that can result in being out of position or coming in a little hot and missing a tackle. But I think I'd rather obviously have him than not for the splash plays. Maybe we can start to get some turnovers. And also, Stranad/Greenlaw are exceptionally better taking on the run game than what we saw last season from the God, who was it? We talked about it earlier, Cody Barton. So yeah, I think that Denver, how they got beat last season, a week to prepare as well. They're going to be ready. I think they're going to be ready for that one. And Eric, kind of a hot take. Would you, obviously it's been Cooper starting for a bit, and they've had pretty good with 1-2 rotations out there at the edge room, but I'm honestly might want to get a little bit more Ellis out there this week in favor of Cooper because Cooper has struggled of late, and I think Ellis plays with a little bit more tenacity on the edge, a little bit more physicality than what we've seen from Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, I would be for it. I would like to see the Broncos. One thing that really bothers me with their edge rotation is that it's been pretty much Nik Bonitto and Jonathan Cooper or Jonah Ellis and Dondre Tillman. They haven't really mixed it up a whole lot with that. I'd like to see them do that a little bit more. But I would look at Jonah Ellis over Jonathan Cooper because he is far more disciplined when it comes to the rush lane and is I think a little bit more physical when it comes to when he makes contact, a little bit more violent, I guess would be the better way to put it. So I would look at it. I don't think they will. I mean, with what they paid Cooper, I don't see it. And then as for this comment with the additions they made up front, they really didn't add many to it, but everybody is significantly better than where they were last year. DJ Jones last season was not as good as a lot of people made him out to be, especially against the run. And Denver changed up a little bit with how they were using him against the run this year, and he's looking significantly better. Same with Malcolm Roach. Last year, he was not a good run defender whatsoever. He looks really good this year. Uwazurike barely was playing last year because of the time his year suspended and all that. And he looks like a not necessarily starter level player, but a first line man in the rotation kind of level. Zach Allen's looking better against the run. John Franken, everybody's looking better against the run. Then you add in the additions that you had with Hufanga and Greenlaw, and even the improvements that Cernat has made, and Alex Singleton is back. And so they've made these additions, just not necessarily to the defensive front, but at linebacker, at safety, which have that trickle down effect when it comes to defending the run, with their ability to read the runs and be in the hole and play a little bit more violently than Cody Barton and even PJ Locke last year, even though PJ Locke may be starting in this one in place of Brandon Jones. So they still made improvements to the run defense, and Denver, outside of the Colts game this year, they played the run really well all season long. Some of that is due, again, the improvements the players made, but also Vance Joseph with some of the changes that he made with the run defense aspect of it with this defense.
Yeah, it's Denver got their butts handed to them last season, so hopefully everybody's feeling a little bit obviously ramped up for this one, but you shouldn't have to worry about that at all. I mean, it's the playoffs. It's going to be a good matchup, and this is one of the games where all the investments and the talent the Broncos have on the defensive line, hopefully it shows up and is not neutralized against a very good Bills rush offensive line. Given how this game is going to play out too, Eric, we're going to have a chance to talk a little bit more on Friday as we wrap it up here with everybody coming in. Good to see Michael Ronquillo in the house, Todd Ostendorf, Ozzy, all these great commenters. Dave Glassman, a little late, crushing it show. Wouldn't be shocked if we see more Ellis. Probably played the best outside of Contain I've seen from the Broncos. I mean, he's been great. I don't know if they're trying to not mess with anything with Cooper. I felt you and I both have been talking about it. Cooper's not played as well since the bye week. So we'll see if there's any chance to switch up some rotations. It's probably following a bye and giving the opposing offense something else to think about that they don't have on tape. But this is going to be my final takeaway here before we end the show. It's going to be a low possession football game. The Broncos, with how the Bills defense plays the run and also how the Bills want to play offense, I imagine long, slow-burning drives. Both teams probably take away explosive. The Bills like to play a lot of too high safety shells. Hopefully the Broncos can take away the explosives. They're not necessarily explosive on the perimeter with their pass catchers. Each possession is going to really matter. This is going to feel like a pitching duel, I imagine. So like a lot of times in the playoffs, I always harp turnovers and explosive plays, Eric, but this is going to be a game where it's going to be who can avoid that one back-breaking catastrophic play. Is it a huge special teams one? Is it a DPI down the field that flips 50 yards? Is it one missed tackle where somebody, goes for an explosive after you've really contained them the whole game? Low possession games means each play matters so much more. So who can avoid that one back-breaking mistake and who can get 7 instead of 3 in the red zone? Yeah. Two gigantic keys when you're talking low possession, low total play kind of games, which is what I expect in this one.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I've been harping about this offense when not being able to finish drives in the red zone or when they get near it for the last few weeks. They've been playing into that lower possession, grind it out, long drives, and just haven't been able to finish the drives that they need to, which is a must when you get to the playoffs. It's a must when you play a team like the Buffalo Bills when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen on the opposite sideline. You got to end with 7, not 3 consistently, especially when it's long drawn out drives. I was talking with somebody and they were saying I'm going to put the over under on total drives in this game at 14 and a half, not including kneel downs. And I was like, that's actually, I think that's a fair one to put it. And it's kind of tough because, when you get these longer drives, you're looking at about maybe 4 drives per team in each half. So it's definitely a tough one. It's going to be tough for Denver to get it going. And again, not only do they need to end in the end zone, end with 7, not 3, got to get that run game going, whether it's, feeding the ball to Jaleel McLaughlin, who has looked really good playing as a slasher in this offense, or if it's just using the versatility of RJ Harvey with the passing game. Because the Jaguars, again, they played into that. They had Travis Etienne, who had, I think, 10 rushes for, I can't remember how many yards, and he had like 4 or 5 catches on top of that. And he was a big factor for them. They had at one point, both running backs, they had 8 rushes again for like 100 yards. They only ended with, I think, like 14 or 15 total rushes for like 118 or 120 some odd yards. Like Denver's just got to be a little bit more consistent. And that's one thing with this running game that concerns me on top of the consistency is when Sean Payton, when we do get a run game going, or there's a little bit of a struggle there, Sean Payton has a really bad habit of going away from it early and really playing into the passing game. Got to stick with it, especially in games like this where the drives and each play matters so much more because there's going to be most likely going to be fewer drives.
Yeah. Got to take advantage of it. Got to be efficient and got to hit your shots when they're there. So we're going to wrap it up here. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us today on this Monday morning as we know who the Broncos are going to be playing. Overall, what a fantastic week of football. Hopefully tonight's game is also enjoyable. And we got Amy coming in too. Good to see you, Amy. Appreciate you. Overall a great weekend of football. Good to have the Broncos kick their feet up and excited for this matchup versus the Buffalo Bills. We'll talk again on Friday, Eric. I'll be back tomorrow night to talk about this game with Carl, and hopefully we'll have an idea of what time this game is going to be played at too. Just, kind of get everything settled. But Saturday, the Broncos play their most important game in a decade, I would imagine. Higher stakes. Obviously, they played a playoff game last year, but this is a round further into the playoffs, and also you're the number 1 seed. And the one thing I hate about, not hate, that's extreme, but fan bases just assume like, oh, we're here now. This is going to be the norm going forward. You never know. So you have to take advantage of those seasons when you get the opportunity. I think Dan Campbell said it 2 years ago when the Lions lost the NFC Championship game when they were right there. I mean, like, we don't know if we'll ever be here again. I expect the Broncos to be very good, but number 1 seed, everything in front of them, this will be a missed opportunity if you don't at least win this game, but it's a very good opponent. Not guaranteeing anything. Season's not a loss if you don't take care of this one, but it'll be a missed opportunity, no doubt. So hopefully the Broncos feel that hunger and understand what's in front of them. I'm sure they do, but it's a golden opportunity for the Denver Broncos. So Eric, make sure you guys are following him on Twitter, X, whatever it is, of course. He is at Eric Trickle. I'm at Nick Handel, MHH. Also Dylan Von Arks, MHH, in the background hanging out with us. Follow him as well. We're over at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. And as the ticker says underneath, please subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube. Eric, final thoughts before we get on out of here and start our Monday. Man, really excited for the Broncos to play on Saturday. It'll be here before you know it, but I'm sure it's going to be a long week as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long one. That wait's gonna be a long time. I remember when going, the last Super Bowl run, just waiting the week up to it, just how long it was. Especially, Thursday and Friday. Those are gonna be the really long days for it. But I'm excited. I'm glad they got the Bills. I think this is a really good test for them with the quality of quarterback. Even though Josh Allen is banged up, he entered this week with a foot injury, but he's gonna be able to rest it. And he still went out there and played a really good game against the Jaguars. They're a tough opponent. They're mostly a well-coached team. They do have some lack of discipline moments, but, I think that's more player level than coaching. But they're experienced in the playoffs. Josh Allen is 8-6 in the playoffs, so he's got plenty of it. This is only Bo Nix's second game in the playoffs, so maybe experience will come into play. But I'm excited for this one. Denver has their work cut out for them, and now that they know who their opponent is, they can get down to the nitty-gritty of what they need to do to walk out with the win and keep their hopes alive in not only making the Super Bowl but winning it.
Yeah, it should be fantastic. Really, really excited and looking forward to it. Appreciate everyone in here in the chat. It's going to be a great week. Enjoy it also. And yeah, Eric, appreciate you coming on nice and early. Shout out to Dylan as well. We will see you guys again later. Have a great one. Happy Monday. Go Broncos.